At the very end, after each such meeting, we talk simple things so that everyone understands that they have not understood everything. But then again, we mention paradoxes in order for you to have the feeling that it was really funny. Which is why I will start with the definition. The definition was supposed to be at the very beginning of this meeting. We are speaking about the short-term and long-term perspective. What is this short-term perspective? How long does it last? 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, 5 years? And what is this long-term perspective? It's also a good question. It's difficult to answer this in numbers, which is why in order to be quick, because it's the last presentation, short-term perspective is a question how long the region will hold, so those 6 countries, and what it really means if Ukraine will stand, if it will hold. And the second question, if Putin will do a next step forward, or a next invasion, occupation, intervention, aggression in the Ukraine. And when it comes to long-term perspective, there is a question if the space between the project Russia or / China, or Russia plus China on the one hand, and on the other hand the European Union, if this space in this or another form will integrate in the structures of the European Union or with the European Union, meaning a unification of some rules of life. The second simple thing, everyone understands that in this region there are 4 players. First of all, those countries, summing up our today's meeting, one can say that those countries are divided. 3 countries is closer to the European Union because they signed the association treaty. 3 countries, due to the geographic location, is a little bit further from this perspective. The European Union, well, the European Union is tired. It is tired of those sanctions. It's divided, as always. There is no one unanimous decision. And what's actually most difficult, we are facing a challenge that we have to make any decision, and this is what is scary for me. Then the US. In my opinion, however, I of course share the view of Minister Tarasiuk. Under this president, a lot of mistakes have been made, starting from this reset with Russia. But I think that in the long-term perspective, this situation will be better. This is only a marginal remark. When it comes to Russia, I'm not that well informed, but coming back maybe to what our colleague has said, that 2 very good things. First of all, that he tried first and foremost to put Ukraine into Russian hands, and now the Ukraine moves in another direction, and now Russia tries to, well, cooperate with China. Finally, the Russians understood that, but on our side of the border it was understandable 10 or 15 years ago. But I think that a quick change of power is impossible in Russia, and we have to be prepared for a long-term period. Paradoxically, the problems of Russia will influence us. How will the situation change in this area? Between 2 great geopolitical units, the European Union on the one hand and Russia/China on the other hand. It seems, for a regular person reading newspapers, that everything depends what will be the results of the war in Donbass. Well, on the one hand, yes, of course, but then again, if you look from the point of view of the Ukraine, the most important battle is not in Donbass, but inside of the Ukraine. It all depends how quick and if the Ukraine will transform. And we have no answer to this question, and we have no time for this question. We have no time, the Ukraine has no time, the European Union has no time in order to support this decision or to accelerate making this decision, because somehow people wait for the next elections. They do have their own problems. But in my opinion, changes can be possible, and this can be the one only thing, excuse my colleagues from Moldova, but doing something for Moldova and Georgia, because if Moldova and Georgia joins NATO or the European Union or any other structures, this will not change the situation on such gigantic area, unfortunately. And this is not a Ukrainian megalomany or a funny Ukrainian patriotism. Here we have a very dangerous challenge. First of all, the political class, the Ukrainian political class, well, is it ready for those changes? Does it want those changes? Can they be introduced? These are two important questions. If it's possible and if it can be done. I will not answer this because you can find the answer in your heart. And then the danger that I think not everyone sees, even in this room, namely the Ukrainian society, very strong society. And in reality, Johan said that they are really strong-hearted. I will not risk such an opinion. But the difference between Ukraine and Russia, as our famous philosopher said, is that in Russia the country is great, strong and mighty, and the society is weak. And in the Ukraine is different, the other way around. The society is big, strong and mighty, and the country is really weak. So it's a barrel full of gunpowder, and if there will be no transformation inside of Ukraine, then we can expect not only second, third, fourth, fifth Maidan, as we saw 2004 or 2013, we can expect something more dangerous. But then again, Putin can somehow use this to his advantage. Summing up, in my opinion, a close perspective for the whole region happens in the Ukraine, not in Donbass, in the Ukraine. And the long-term perspective for this region will depend on whether the European Union will strive long enough to hold up those sanctions, regardless if they are successful or not. And from the US, that have to conduct really strict and strong policy in this region, and maybe during the next terms of office of the next president, they will have a better policy and a better strategy. Thank you.